President Trump's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, reportedly arriving in Egypt to join crucial negotiations on a Gaza deal. Steve Harrigan joins us live from Tel Aviv with the very latest. Hi, Steve.
Carly, that's right. The sign that some key players are joining these talks on day 3 is seen by many as a sign of progress. The Prime Minister of Qatar also joining the talks, and President Trump continues to emphasize that he thinks a major deal could be near.
We are very close to making a deal on the Middle East that will bring peace to the Middle East. After all of these years of millions and millions, tens of millions of people being killed, there's a chance to bring peace to the Middle East. And we're going to do everything possible to make sure everybody adheres to the deal.
Another sign that a deal could be close, at least a partial deal, and that is that the two sides have exchanged names. Hamas giving a list of prisoners it wants freed, also supplying a list of hostages, roughly 48 hostages, 20 of them still believed to be alive. Still, though, major challenges ahead on both sides. Israel wants Hamas to disarm completely. That's not something Hamas has agreed to. For its side, Hamas is saying it wants a guarantee that once it gives up the hostages, loses its leverage, that Israel will not restart a war. So still some major gaps for a long-term agreement. Carly, back to you.
All right, Steve Harrigan, live for us in Tel Aviv. Steve, thank you. Let's bring in Hudson Institute Senior Fellow Rebecca Heinrichs. Rebecca, it is great to see you this morning. How does the presence of Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner in these negotiations change things?
Well, I think really it's Jared Kushner more than anybody. He was obviously instrumental in negotiating the Abraham Accords. And so Jared has really had a low profile during the second Trump administration. So to bring him in now, I think indicates that, one, the Trump administration's really determined to get some progress here. But two, they're bringing some pretty serious firepower to make some deals. And so it's promising that Jared is there.
Well, the reporting, Rebecca, is that they're in this for the long haul, both Kushner and Witkoff, and that they're going to stay in Egypt until Hamas agrees to release all the hostages and end the war. And as Steve was just saying, there is still a lot of daylight between these two sides. As a matter of fact, Hamas yesterday denied a report that they had agreed to gradually disarm. So what if these negotiations fall apart?
Well, the big litmus test, Carly, is whether or not Hamas will actually release the hostages. That's phase one. That has to happen. And already you're seeing the Hamas kind of do these counter proposals. That is not that's not indication that Hamas is serious here. We have so much pressure now from the Gulf partners, obviously from the United States. The Israelis have agreed to President Trump's plan. That's the plan. Hamas is the one that committed the genocidal attempt on October 7th against the Jewish people. It's not in a position to be making counter demands. But so far, that's what Hamas is doing. Initially, Hamas said it wasn't even sure that it could release the hostages on the timeline. So that's the litmus test. That has to come first. And Israel's been very clear. There is not going to be a governing structure in Gaza that includes Hamas. And so Hamas is going to try to stay in power. That's also going to be a big loser for peace in the region. And then, of course, President Trump has said that then Israel will have full free reign to go in there and do what's necessary in Gaza.
Yeah, well, yesterday Hamas released a statement celebrating October 7th. No surprise there. They referred to it as a glorious day and a turning point in the region. So even if this ceasefire deal is reached, obviously, Rebecca, the hatred remains. So the concern is that, if you reach this deal, it just restarts the clock for another October 7th to happen. Do you think that there's language in this deal that would prevent that from happening?
Well, Hamas can't stay in power. I mean, that's got to be the final thing, because, I mean, the Israelis understand that as long as you have a group that's inside Gaza that's still praising October 7th, it means that they're going to rearm and they're going to try it again if they're permitted to stay. And so I think that's really the crux of the matter. President Trump, remember, he threatened, Carly, before. People didn't think that President Trump would or essentially support Israel's efforts to go in and take out all of these military weapon systems in Iran, or that the United States would then participate in finally degrading Iran's illicit nuclear program. And he did. He gave a timeline, he set a deadline, and then he did. I think the same thing's in play here, Carly. If Hamas doesn't lay down its arms, turn over the hostages, you're going to see, I think, the Israelis go in and finally finish finish Hamas, and also I think there's going to be even increased destruction that we haven't seen yet in Gaza.
Okay, and finally, there's a report out of an Israeli news source that says a preliminary agreement is expected to be reached by Thursday or Friday, tomorrow or the next day. Trump will announce it, and if there's obstacles, a final agreement could extend to Sunday at the latest. That is from an Egyptian news source in Israeli news. Does that seem accurate to you? How much stock do you put in that reporting?
I'm not putting a whole lot of stock in any reporting at this point, unless I hear something from the Israeli government or from the U.S. government. I don't believe it. I think the only way there's going to be any kind of extension at all is if the United States and the Israelis really do believe that there is still any kind of credible hope for getting those hostages out. Again, that's litmus test one. That's the only way there's going to be any kind of extension at all. Can we get those hostages home?
They need to come home. We will be watching as we await any movement on this deal that is being negotiated as we speak in Egypt. Rebecca, thank you for joining us.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.